2009 Honda CRV. We're going to attempt the front driver's side and passenger side strut replacement. So as you can see, this is completely shot. 141,000 miles on here. These are the original factory. Gotta be replaced. I ordered the Monroe quick struts, part number 272491. It's passenger side. 272492 is the driver's side. These come pre-assembled. So no need to use the spring compressor. Alright, here are the tools you're going to need for this job. You're going to need an extension. This one is, let's say about 6 inches. You're going to need a 22 millimeter and 19 millimeter. This is to get off the two large bolts which hold the struts to the brake assembly and to the suspension. You need a 17 millimeter. This is to get the windshield wiper off. You need a 14 millimeter, and these are deep sockets, by the way. 14 millimeter to get the old bolts off. You're gonna need a 15 millimeter to put the new bolts that come with the kit back on. You need a 10 millimeter to get the brake line bolt off. You need one of these hex sockets. This is a 6 millimeter or H6. This is from Harbor Freight. This is for an impact, but I would not suggest using the impact wrench with this. I just use a regular ratchet. If that fails, or you strip the nut, or the Allen key nut rather, channel lock, I'd use a brand new one with sharp teeth on it. And also in combination with that channel lock, or with the 6 millimeter Allen socket, you're going to need a 17 millimeter wrench. I'd suggest with the ratchet on the end. You need a breaker bar, probably use 2 breaker bars, regular ratchet, steel brush to get the rust off of the rusted bolts, and I would highly recommend the, as obvious, WD-40 liquid wrench. Suspension is notorious for being rusted out, and I'd probably let the rusted parts soak for a couple hours, if not overnight. Alright, wheels off. Hit it with a little bit of a liquid wrench. And actually, this nut up here I hit about 2 hours ago, because this nut is the most difficult of all the nuts you're going to take off during this project. So there's a couple of wires you got to disconnect first, just to make sure that you don't knock them off or tear them. You got the speed line. This is connected by 2 rubber gaskets, and there's a plastic clip. You pop that out with the screwdriver, and there's also another clip back here. I would just loosen that and pop it back in at the end. This right here is the brake line. You don't want to tear this. This comes off with a 12 millimeter. So next you got to take these 2 large bolts off. I have air. You really don't need air. But you're going to need 2 breaker bars. The bolt side, 19 millimeter. The nut side, 22 millimeter. So this is going to be the most annoying, challenging part of the job. It's this small nut right here. If you live in the Northeast like I do, with the constant salt, snow, hot, cold, your nut's probably going to look like this, completely rusted out. So what I tried to do was spray it with liquid wrench to try to loosen up some of this rust. I sprayed it probably about 3 hours ago. I'm going to use this brush here to try to get some of the rust off of the grooves. And the problem with this nut is that the engineers here came up with the brilliant idea. I guess Honda makes so many motorcycles, they probably had spare parts, to use an Allen wrench. Okay? So you're going to need an Allen wrench. This size is 6 millimeter. There's a good possibility that you're going to strip, or this is going to be so corroded that this is going to be completely useless. And the issue is that this spins. So you need to hold the Allen wrench and turn the nut, or hold the nut and turn the Allen wrench. I would suggest that you try to hold the Allen wrench in and take the nut off. Other option you can do, which works pretty well, is a channel lock on the back. You're going to have to tighten it to the point where it feels like you're going to break your hand. And I would use a brand new channel lock on it that has brand new teeth. Don't use your father's old channel lock that's worn out. Other alternatives, obviously you can use a blowtorch, heat it up, but the problem is you got this rubber boot back here. Mine looks pretty new. I really don't want a chance melting it, so I'm going to try to take it off first. Hopefully with this Allen wrench and a straight wrench. So what I did first was I hit this with the air wrench just to loosen the whole bolt. See how this is loose? Can't take it off though, because again this is going to spin on you. So what you're going to have to do is, I would suggest a ratcheting wrench that's going to hold the nut down, and then carefully and slowly loosen it up. Alright, so this is going to turn opposite to logic. So lefty loosey is out the window. So you'd hold the wrench here, and I'm actually turning right with the ratchet. This is method 2. Got the channel lock. I'm going to try to use the air wrench on it. There you go. The bolts at the top of the strut assembly are like practically in the car. And actually on the driver's side, you're going to have to remove the windshield wiper, which comes off very easily, but still it's in the way in order for you to access all the bolts to take off the whole strut and shock assembly. And on the passenger side, no need to take the wiper off, you just take the weather stripping off. This just pops off. There you go. Forward, you're going to need a 14 long deep socket, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts you're going to take out. Relatively easy to access, but I wouldn't take all of them out. Leave at least 1 or 2 in, because the strut's very heavy, and so is the rotor and brake assembly. You don't want it falling down, and I'm going to show you, you got to prop it up before you take the whole thing down. So as you can see, I have a little bit of a makeshift stand here to support the rotor and brake assembly. This thing's very heavy, you don't want it just dropping down. And I'm going to take out the last bolt, and I still have the bolts that are upstairs in the engine compartment. I got 2 of those on just to make sure that the entire strut and shock assembly doesn't fall out. So this is the old one that I just removed from the passenger side, and comparing it to the new one, see how devastated that other one was. But 141,000 miles on that one. The new one comes with bolts. We're going to put that back in reverse order of how we took it out. So what I'm going to try to do is line up the bolts, which is easier said than done with the holes. Once you do that, try to reach above, put one of the bolts in. So after I tightened up all the nuts up top, I use this pry bar to gently lift up the brake assembly, and I put this top bolt in first. Makes this one on the bottom a lot easier to put in. I'm just going to tighten it back up in reverse order, attach everything, and this job will be done. So the new bolts are 15, and this assembly here prevents you from getting them in with your hand or anything else, so use the old paper trick. So on the driver's side, you got to take off the actual wiper and this cover to get to the nuts there. So I'm just going to put this back on. You have to put this cover back on first. Before you can put the wiper on. And this is going to be a 17 millimeter windshield wiper bolt. Put the cap back on, and that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helps, saves you some time.